Watch yourself eat tonight. Really watch. Your jaw drops. It closes. It doesn't grind side to side like a cow's. It doesn't circle like a horse's. It snaps up and down, fast and direct. You've done it 10,000 times today and never once noticed. But the real answer for why you chew that way is far stranger than table manners. You are not built like a plant eater. You are built like something that used to chase its dinner. Here's the strange part. You don't hunt anymore. Most of you have never killed anything larger than a mosquito. And yet your jaw, your teeth, even the muscles wrapped around your skull are still shaped for a job you stopped doing generations ago. Why would evolution leave that behind? Why would it matter? It matters because chewing was never really about food. It was about time. Picture a cow. A cow spends nearly 8 hours a day chewing. Its jaw rotates in wide, slow circles, grinding tough grass into paste before it even gets to a stomach built with 4 separate chambers. Grass is cheap to find and expensive to digest. So herbivores pay with hours, thousands of hours every week, every year, just to keep the engine running. Now picture your ancestors on the savannah 2 million years ago. They didn't have 8 spare hours to sit and grind. Predators were watching. Water was far away. Every hour spent chewing was an hour not spent moving, not spent finding the next meal, not spent staying alive. So something had to change. And it did. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham built an entire theory around this shift. He argued that the moment early humans learned to control fire and cook their food, everything about the human body reorganized itself around that discovery. Cooked meat and cooked starches are already halfway digested before they reach your mouth. Heat breaks down the tough fibers that would otherwise take hours to grind apart. Suddenly, a meal that once demanded endless chewing could be finished in 20 minutes. 20 minutes! Think about what that number means. Every hour your ancestors weren't chewing was an hour they could spend doing something else, making tools, raising children, talking, thinking. Wrangham's argument is blunt. Cooking didn't just change your diet. It bought you time, and that time became your brain. But time alone doesn't explain the shape of your jaw. For that, you need to look at teeth. Paleoanthropologist Peter Ungar has spent decades studying the microscopic scratches left on ancient teeth, tiny grooves invisible to the eye but readable under a microscope like tree rings. Those scratches tell you exactly how an animal chewed and what it chewed on. Herbivores show long parallel scratches from side-to-side grinding. Carnivores show short, deep pits from tearing and crushing. And humans? Human teeth carry a mixed signature, some grinding, some crushing, but overwhelmingly a vertical chopping pattern up and down. Fast, direct. That's the same basic motion a wolf uses on meat. Not identical, but strikingly closer to a predator's bite than to a grazer's grind. Doesn't that seem backward? You don't have claws. You don't have fangs built for tearing flesh, and yet your jaw motion still echoes something built for meat. The explanation lies in a body that evolved for flexibility, not specialization. Harvard evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman has spent his career mapping how the human skull changed as diets changed. He points out that as our ancestors' brains grew larger and their guts grew smaller, jaw muscles shrank too. A big, muscular jaw built for hours of grinding tough plants takes up space and energy your ancestors could no longer spare. A brain burning 20% of your entire body's energy needs that space instead, so the jaw got smaller. The teeth got smaller. But the chewing motion stayed efficient, quick, vertical, built for a mixed diet of both meat and softened plants rather than one extreme or the other. You ended up with a mouth caught in the middle. Not a grazer's mouth. Not quite a predator's mouth either. Something new. Here's where it gets stranger still. That vertical chewing motion isn't just a leftover trait sitting quietly in your skull. It's still shaping your face today. Orthodontists have noticed something troubling over the last century. Modern jaws are getting smaller and more crowded. Wisdom teeth barely fit. Crooked teeth are common enough to be treated as normal rather than unusual. Researchers studying skulls from hunter-gatherer populations and comparing them to modern industrial populations have found something consistent. Ancient jaws were wider, straighter, and had room for every tooth. Modern jaws often don't. Why? Because soft, processed food requires almost no chewing force at all. Your jaw is a muscle like any other. Muscles that aren't challenged don't grow the way they're meant to. A hunter-gatherer child chewing tough roots and fibrous meat for years builds a wide, strong jaw through repeated mechanical stress, the same way lifting weights builds an arm. A modern child raised on soft bread, ground meat, and processed snacks never gets that stress. The jaw stays narrow, the teeth stay crowded. So the very same vertical bite your ancestors sharpened to save time on the savannah is now, in a world of soft food, quietly reshaping faces in ways evolution never accounted for. There's one more piece to this, and it's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Chewing speed appears to be tied to how quickly you feel full. Studies on eating behavior have repeatedly found that people who chew more slowly and more thoroughly report feeling satisfied on smaller amounts of food. The mechanism is simple. It takes roughly 20 minutes for your gut to signal your brain that you've had enough. Wolf your food down in 5 minutes using that same fast, efficient predator like bite your ancestors evolved, and you can eat far past the point of fullness before your body even sends the message. In other words, the exact trait that once helped your ancestors survive scarcity, a jaw built to process food quickly and move on, can work against you in a world where food is never scarce at all. So the next time you catch yourself chewing without thinking, notice the motion. Up, down, quick, efficient. That rhythm isn't random. It's not a habit you picked up. It is 2 million years of trade-offs compressed into a single unconscious motion. Fire that shortened mealtimes, a brain that demanded the energy those shortened mealtimes freed up, and a jaw that shrank to make room for all of it. You were never built to graze like a cow, spending half your waking life reducing grass to paste. You were built for something quicker, sharper, more predatory than you'd ever guess by looking in the mirror. And every single time you take a bite tonight, some small, forgotten piece of that ancient bargain is still running quietly in your mouth.